Hi everyone, hope you are feeling positive and healthy. Please subscribe with bell notifications if you haven't already, and please don't hesitate to leave your valuable feedback and advice below. Thank you very much. Let's jump into the stories. Am I the unreasonable one for checking my employee's Instagram after she didn't come to work? So an employee of mine sent me a text last week in the middle of the night telling me that she could not come into work as she was in a serious problem and sent me a picture of her in a hospital bed. She looked a bit banged up. I sent her a text telling it's fine and that I hope she gets well. At the end of the day I sent her another text just to ask if she was going to be absent for the rest of the week, but I got no response. The next day she didn't show up and I still had no answer from her. I worried that something serious might have happened to her, so I tried to call, but got no answer. I figured I would wait a couple days to see if I get an answer, but still had nothing, and after trying to call again I just got her voicemail. So I looked her up online and found her Instagram. She had a picture from the night she sent me the text and she had been rear-ended by a drunk driver. She had a story and I decided to check it. It was just her at home and she seemed pretty fine. Later that day she sent me a text saying she would be in tomorrow today and I figured everything would be fine. She explained to the office that she had been hit by a drunk driver and had to be hospitalized and had to take it easy for a few days. Later in the day she came to see me in my office to let me know that she knew that I saw her Instagram story. I explained that I had not heard from her in 5 days and began to worry too. I looked her up to see if everything was okay. She tore into me about how it's a violation of her privacy and we do not have the kind of relationship where I can check her social media accounts. I again just explained that I was trying to figure out what was going on and she told me if I do it again she'll report me to HR for stalking. This is the first time I've ever looked up an employee and I felt my reasoning for doing so was not with bad intentions. So am I the unreasonable one? Not the unreasonable one. If she doesn't want people checking her Instagram, she should set it as private. Not the unreasonable one if it's publicly available information. If you don't want your employers vetting your social media, make your accounts private. Simple as that. Am I the unreasonable one for not feeding my niece enough? The other day my brother asked me if it was possible that I could babysit my niece because he and my parents were going to view a house. I agreed to look after her and he dropped my niece off while picking up my parents. My niece is 3, she is adorable and a very curious, compassionate girl. I absolutely adore her, but to put it nicely, she's a big girl for her age. Nothing wrong with a bit of puppy fat, but this was more than that. My brother and her mother have a habit of giving her anything she wants. Things like chocolate and junk food just to stop her crying and throwing a tantrum. My mother has addressed this issue with them before, saying that they are installing bad habits into her and that she has started giving her entitlement issues. They ignored my mother's warning and I can definitely see what my mother is talking about regarding her getting entitled. Although I do agree with my mother, they can raise her how they like. While she was in my care, she started demanding chocolate and other things. When I told her no, that she needs to have her lunch first, she started to throw a fit, screaming, crying and rolling around, pounding her hands and feet on the floor. To get her to stop, I said, "Good girls get treats. Are you behaving like a good girl?" She stopped and didn't say anything. I said that if she behaved herself she will get a treat as a reward. After that, she was pretty well behaved. I gave her lunch, a tuna sandwich with some cut carrots and juice. She didn't want to eat the carrots, so I convinced her to eat them by reminding her she will get a treat. She ate them no problems and I rewarded her with a child-sized bag of chocolate buttons. Everything was fine. No tantrums, no demanding more food, it was all good. After about 4 hours, my brother returned and my niece ran over to him. She was happy and he asked if she had a good day. She said she did, telling him everything we did together. Then she said she was hungry. My brother asked what she ate and she told him, saying she was still hungry, mentioning that about the rewards for good behavior. He got annoyed and asked if that was really what happened and I said it was, but didn't see the big deal. He took me outside and started screaming at me about not feeding his daughter enough, that she is a growing girl and that I was irresponsible. I said that I stopped her from throwing a tantrum for not getting what she wanted, and as her caretaker I did what I believed was the right thing to do, reminding him that I did give her lunch. He called me an a-hole and said that I should never have kids because I clearly have no idea how to take care of them. He said that I barely fed her and that I should feel ashamed. I don't think I was an a-hole at all. I gave her lunch and she never said to me about being hungry. If she did, I would have gave her a sensible snack. Am I the unreasonable one? Also, just to be clear, I'm not annoyed at my niece. She's 3. I mean, seriously, she is a kid after all. How can I be mad at a little girl who will bandage your head if she accidentally taps you? More information. I have read comments mentioning following their guidelines or asking if they gave me instructions. They didn't give me any. All my brother said was that she had her breakfast, so I just needed to give her lunch. He is a great father to my niece, so you all know. I had her for about 5 hours. Edit 3. My niece isn't dumb. She saw my mother with junk food and knows where it is kept. It's too high for her to reach. Not the unreasonable one. It's rich that he says you should never have children because you wouldn't know how to take care of them when he is continuously encouraging his child's negative behavior. Honestly, she may not have been hungry, but when she saw him she knew she could get a snack if she told him that. Heck, my adult brain will do that to me sometimes. I'll finish dinner and be so full, but if I think about ice cream, oh, I'd probably be hungry enough for that. The difference being that I'm an adult who can self-regulate my diet and she is a child who knows if I ask dad I can get something yummy that I want. Her parents are supposed to regulate her because as a child she can't do it herself. They are doing her absolutely no favors. I feel bad for your niece. I know children that were raised like this, and it is often a substitute for emotional support. A child's parents feel guilt for working a lot or not spending a lot of time/energy with the child, and instead of making up for it with the quality of time spent, they give a lot of food or toys and don't set boundaries and give into tantrums to assuage that guilt. But children crave boundaries and structure. It may not seem that way because they throw tantrums if boundaries are set. But often without structure they do not feel loved or cared for in the deep, intrinsic way they want to be loved. Subconsciously, it can feel like parents don't care enough about them to provide that support. So they accept the toys/food as positive stimuli. But of course it's not enough because they are trying to satisfy very fundamental needs with the temporary solutions offered to them by their parents. Your brother likely is angry because he knows you're right. He wouldn't have blown up like that if he didn't. And it speaks to the guilt that he likely feels in his relationship with his daughter. Indirectly, you just called him out for not giving her enough of what she truly needs and filling that space with cheap substitutes. There's a reason he responded like you were touching a nerve. Not the unreasonable one. She was demanding chocolate. Chocolate is not food for a little girl. Am I the unreasonable one for suing my biological father for unpaid child support? I don't have a relationship with my biological father. He left her when she got pregnant and never acknowledged that he had a child, always saying she was lying. She did prove paternity in court and got an order for child support. At the time at least, he had a job making well over 6 figures that was handed to him by his parents as well as rental properties, so the ordered amount was pretty high. He refused to pay it at all and somehow got away with it. My mother has died and I'm her only child. He's never had a relationship with me, and in this matter, I wanted justice for my mother. While I couldn't independently sue for that back child support, I could essentially sue on behalf of her estate. I won, and he owed me almost $350,000, plus my legal fees. He cried poor, but the judgment was paid almost immediately, so either he was not, or his parents bailed him out. I've seen his wife's social media, and she's posting about bastards wanting a payday and other tears. Some of my friends and family think that I shouldn't have just used the legal system to get money that wasn't technically mine. Am I the unreasonable one? The money is technically yours. Literally the reason why people has to pay is to support the child, you. It doesn't seem like he was ever in a bad financial position and he abandoned you. Financial support is the minimum, not the unreasonable one. The law was on your side. You got what is rightfully yours. The world needs more deadbeats being held accountable for their actions. So good for you. I would be extra petty and call his wife out for slander/defamation. Am I the unreasonable one? Cursed best friend's GF out after he gave her my channel. She ended up insulting my dead mother, and told me it wasn't a big deal. I do YouTube commentary videos, a small hobby. They don't pay the bills. Hell, I'm not even monetized yet. I'll try and make this brief. I've had a best friend for 3 or so years, and I've only 5 months ago revealed to my small friend group, 8 or so people, that I have a YouTube channel, as I've planned on keeping it between us. About 2 weeks ago, I returned from the market to see that the friend group chat has just been full of this girl making petty and low-blow remarks about my YouTube channel and videos, such as personal crap. This is important that it was personal to me, because I can take some heat. After all, I'm a commentary channel. At this point, I wasn't really offended, much more annoyed at whoever shared my channel. She poked fun of embarrassing stories that I thought were only between my friends and I. What really broke the camel's back was when she mentioned something along the lines of how cancer my videos were, and how I must have took it from my mother, along other lousy remarks about her. My mother freaking died of breast cancer, and this girl just mentions it like it's a funny story. I was livid, and I added her to my Discord DMs. I ended up cursing her out, saying things along the lines of she needs to have respect, and how lousy of parenting she got for her to think that it was okay to essentially crap talk the dead. For context, I was very open about this, expecting no crazy bitches like her to in the future poke fun at it. She ends up saying it's not a big deal, I was only trying to lighten the mood along excuses like that. Listen, I really don't think that calling a dead woman a bitch and comparing my videos and the impending end of my channel to the death of my mother is very lighthearted. She reveals that it was my best freaking friend who outed my channel to her, and in the group chat logs he was chiming in as well. This effer has the absolute audacity to say that I was in the wrong for disrespecting a woman and that I could have handled it better. I'm almost bursting in tears at this point. I'm getting hit at all angles, low blow after low blow. My best friend of 3 years did me dirty like this. I immediately blocked both of them, but my other friends in the group chat are saying I became a psycho, and that I should have confronted her more nicely about it. At first I thought it was just my best friend being insane, but now that all my friends think I'm crazy for what I did, am I the unreasonable one? Edit poke, not like. From what you've said, not the unreasonable one. Women can take insults as much as men can. If she's throwing them out, then absolutely she should be fully aware it will come back to bite her. If this is ongoing, find new friends. Cause you shouldn't have to put up with horrible comments from someone and then get chewed out for returning fire. I'm one of those people that firmly believes in reaping what you sow. And if she's putting negativity out there, she deserves consequences. WTFFFF, how dare she? I'm getting angry just reading this. Scream at her all you want. She can't get away with it. And yes, I know that the mature response would be to politely tell her that it is not right blah blah. But no, if she is immature enough to make insensitive jokes about your mother, then you are not an a-hole for yelling at her. Also, your friends are a-holes for not sticking up for you. It's not a joke if you're not laughing. Am I the unreasonable one for telling my husband that I won't punish my daughter for speaking another language in the house because it upsets his son? This is a lousy situation, but here we go. Me and my daughter, Anya, are from India. Our native language is Hindi. She's 11 years old now. Her father died when she was 5 and I immigrated to States because everyone was trying to get me remarried to a 60-year-old sleazebag because oh no. However, will a woman live or raise a child alone? I started dating my now husband when Anya was 6. He had a 5-year-old son, Ben. 50% custody. Me, Anya, Ben, husband and Ben's mom get along really well. The kids were very well adjusted and they were genuinely happy when we got married. Whenever tensions arose, we dealt with them patiently. Let's just say after walking through the minefield of Indian family/drama, diffusing these toy bombs were very easy. Anya has a habit of talking in Hindi when she gets really excited. Sometimes, while talking to me, she starts talking in Hindi without even realizing it. This wasn't a problem. If she does that while others are around, I would remind her and she would revert back to English. Few months ago, Ben's mom passed away and he came to live with us full time. He has a room already and we put Ben into therapy immediately. A week ago, Ben walked in when me and Anya were cooking and we were talking in Hindi and he started crying. He told me he is feeling bad that he can't understand what we are saying. I hugged him and consoled him and assured him that we didn't do it to exclude him purposefully. And then Anya started crying and apologized. The whole thing was just heartbreaking. Since then, Anya has been making conscious efforts to talk only in English and I can tell that it puts Ben at ease. Yesterday, however, she was frustrated and started lamenting about schoolwork in Hindi to me. Me and Anya were in the living room and Ben and husband were in the kitchen and they heard it. Later that night, my husband told me how he thinks we must start thinking about giving punishments whenever she speaks in Hindi unconsciously until Ben starts feeling better. I was horrified at this suggestion. I have never pulled a "she is my daughter, not yours" card. But this is the hill I am willing to die on and use that card if necessary. Whether he likes it or not, it's her first language. Expecting her to always converse in her second language, even when she is feeling some extreme emotions, is just cruel, especially after she is genuinely making an effort to make Ben feel more comfortable. It's almost like punishing for her heritage or for her being Indian. Of course, this is a huge point of conflict between me and my husband. I think it's unfair to do this to Anya, even temporarily. He thinks me and Anya are unnecessarily making feel Ben bad while he is mourning his mother, while we can try and prevent it. Both of us are conflicted here. Who is the a-hole here? Edit. Not the unreasonable one. Your husband is DA. Punishing somebody for unintentionally speaking their native language is absolutely abuse and will F up your daughter. A gentle reminder is all that is needed. If your husband presses this, please leave. Your daughter deserves better than to be abused for speaking her native tongue. If Ben is feeling so left out, he should be made to learn Hindi. Not the unreasonable one. I'm so sorry that he thinks you and Anya are doing this deliberately to make Ben upset. That's totally deranged and wrong. I think it's totally reasonable for you and Anya to talk in Hindi in another room of the house when you're together. You're both making an effort to speak in English when Ben and your husband are around. But ultimately you also need to have opportunities to feel connected to your roots and culture too. It could also be a fun bonding experience to help Ben learn Hindi. Why does your husband think that Anya is doing this in bad faith? I'm really confused. It's a horrible conclusion to jump to. Am I the unreasonable one for refusing to let my stepsister and niece move in with me or live in one of my other properties? When I was 8, my mom passed away and my dad remarried my stepmother when I was 11. My stepmother also had 2 children of her own, Erica, 11, and Becky, 13. Growing up, Erica and Becky made it clear they didn't consider me their sister and would continuously exclude me. They also recruited their cousins, from their mother's side, and I was pretty much ostracized by them too, so family events were horrible. Erica in particular really hated me and I still don't know why. She would joke about my mom's death, break my things, including a necklace that passed from my mom to me, would have massive tantrums when my maternal grandparents bought me anything, so I was either forced to share or it was confiscated. Note: my stepsisters were never expected to share gifts they got from their dad's family, would steal my friends and boyfriends from me. When we were both 18, Erica ended up pregnant and decided to keep the baby. Our parents gave her both of our college funds to help her with the cost of having a baby since she didn't work and the father wasn't in the picture. I was devastated and pretty much gave up on the idea of college at this point. Thankfully, my maternal grandparents had been secretly building a separate college fund for me and I won some scholarships, so I was able to go to college with minimal debt. My relationship with my dad has been strained ever since. So, when I got married, I had my maternal grandpa do all of the typical father-daughter stuff. My husband owned multiple properties before we got married and has a successful business. He helped me pay off my student debt and we're doing very well financially. My parents recently got into some financial trouble and so have to downsize their house. They're now demanding that I let Erica and her daughter move into either my house or one of my husband's other properties. I flat out refused. Their argument is that my husband's sister, who is also a single mother, lives in one of these properties rent-free and that if we are willing to do it for her we should be able to help Erica too. They're now calling me selfish for making a child homeless and that my husband's money has made me a snob. Before this, Becky and I had started repairing our relationship and had actually grown closer, but now she's stopped talking to me and I've been shut out again. My stepmother's family have also reached out to call me horrible names. The thing is, me and my husband could support Erica and her daughter, and I do feel like maybe I'm being petty for holding something she did to me when we were children against her. My niece is also the one who's going to suffer if I don't help. My husband says Erica is an a-hole who never apologized so doesn't deserve our help anyways, but he'll help if it's what I want. Am I the unreasonable one for refusing to help her? They're now demanding. Aw, that's cute. Remember, no is a complete sentence. You owe nobody anything unless you want to. They're now calling me selfish for making a child homeless. I call the parents that have kids they're unable to care for / house selfish. My husband's money has made me a snob. Snob equals not a doormat. My stepmother's family have also reached out to call me horrible names. Oh, now that you've insulted me I've had a complete change of mind and I'd love to house this adult child with a child for free. You didn't cause this. You've only had disadvantages from this person being in your life. Honestly, I blame your dad. I blame your stepmonster. I blame Erica. I see no universe where you're DA in this situation. Not the unreasonable one. Not the unreasonable one. If they keep arguing, tell them to use your college fund to support her. Wait, they already did that. You've been supporting this stepsister the whole time, without agreeing to. Maybe if she has to take some responsibility for her own life she'd grow up. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more stories delivered to you. Thanks for listening. See you later.